Welcome back to another episode of Pigskin Politics. Today we're taking on Week 4 of the NFL. But first things first, I want to get one thing out of the way. Jets are 0-3, Steelers are 0-3. We said they're overrated.
They're overrated. We're 2 out of 3 right now. The Steelers are 3-0. I know the Niners are 3-0, but in part thanks to the Steelers, to which I'd say, cool. But clearly, we're at least 2 out of 3 on this. And on that note, on all our predictions, we're batting around a 10-6 average
every week.
I think that's actually pretty okay. Not impressive, but at least enough to be like, all right, maybe we aren't just some jackwagons with a YouTube channel.
Right.
I think we know enough of what we're talking about, and I like that the Jets and the Steelers felt the need to clarify that for us. To which I say, thank you guys.
I'm still going to add the Niners in there. They're 3-0, but that's completely on their defense.
Yeah, we'll get there. Yeah,
100% on their defense. They're not winning off of Jimmy G.
This last game, they sure as heck did not. But that's okay. They're still 3-0.
3 times.
We'll see. There's still the playoffs. That's 12 weeks away. 13, actually, after this video. And on that note, I say we get started.
Eagles at Packers, game 1. Who you got?
All right, I got a buddy. He is a lifelong Eagles fan, and I've known him for 4 years. He messaged me during that Lions loss to bombast the Eagles, saying that they did not want to win and they are pathetic.
What?
And the team puts up all the effort to win but still doesn't.
Yeah,
I can understand him as a hurt fan. I looked up the stats. They are fairly injured. Nelson Aguilar was out, Alshon Jeffrey was out, whereas Nelson Aguilar's been in. And in both their losses, they've been in a position to win. I understand where he's coming from, though. The Packers have been strong, beating strong opponents, actually. The Packers and Bears don't look as bad as we thought, and the Packers are their solo loss. So he tells me, do not pick the Eagles, pick the Packers, and who am I to argue with a fan? I'll roll with the Packers there, fairly confident.
I think that's a fair bet. I'd say roll with the Packers just because they've been playing fairly good. They got a good defense going. Aaron Rodgers' offense is starting to roll a little bit better. I think they played some good defenses. I think they'll score more points here on. Mm-hmm. But as far as the Eagles go, I don't know what's going on with them. I still think they're a really good team. They're just not finishing.
They're a good team top to bottom.
It's some playoff crap going on.
And you can even throw in some weird other things. Like in that Lions game, did you see that missed face mask call on that kickoff?
Yes.
That was the worst one I've seen in a while.
Damn near took his head off. I saw that.
There's some other crap going on and injuries, but they've still competed. Granted, I don't think they should have lost, but it's a weird one.
They'll rally. They'll make the playoffs.
They'll pull a 9-7 like last year.
I think so. Yeah. They still got too much talent to miss the playoffs.
Absolutely. I respect the talent. I'll just chalk it up to injuries.
Right. Moving on, Chargers at Dolphins.
Okay, so remember that law of averages thing I was talking about last video?
Yes.
Yeah, maybe don't take it too seriously. It definitely did exhibit last week.
Okay.
But oddly enough, I'd say, based on the law of averages, Chargers will win, but don't use them as a survivor on the off chance they don't. The Dolphins, as a bad team, as a fan, they actually performed far better of all the losing teams on the schedule last week. Wow. Who hung with their competitor as the Dolphins did? Dolphins were 0-2. The Cowboys were 2-0. Dolphins were in a position to take the lead at the half after missing a field goal, and they fumbled in the red zone.
Right.
They were in a position to be at the lead 17-10 at least.
They left a lot of points on them. If you watch that game, I don't know if you were very interested in that game, probably not, but the Dolphins did leave a lot of points on the field against the Cowboys.
They were competitive. I thought Rosen would kind of,
They gave up after halftime.
Yeah, but I thought it would put a fire under them. It did. They still lost, and they still gave up. But they were competitive that first half.
They responded to Rosen better than I thought they
There's teams this week who were going up against a superior opponent who did not show any signs of life.
Right.
I think the Dolphins kind of have this thing going on where it's like, okay, we'll see if we can win. And the moment they see that they can't, they absolutely just pull. And that's it. And I think that's kind of what it was going on with them. They don't want garbage time points. They don't want to pad those stats. They want you to know exactly what they are.
Yeah. Then the Chargers aren't off to a very good start, man.
The Chargers are weird. What was it with the Lions and now the Texans? You're leading both those games and you give them up to arguably worse opponents.
I mean, they're missing Derwin James and they're missing Melvin Gordon. They're missing some talent there, but
they're missing some talent, but they still should be more talented.
Their roster is still great, top to bottom. I feel like they should be 3-1 or 2-1 by now, at least.
At least. All I'm saying is, I endorse picking the Chargers, but I would not stake, the house on it. They got some weird stuff going on, and maybe Miami will be a bit more competitive.
If Miami wins, I'm gonna freaking laugh. All right, moving on. Titans at Falcons. The Titans are a really weird team this year because I'm pretty sure I'm like 0 for 3 on the Titans. I cannot predict a game. Every time I predict them to win, they lose. If I predict them to lose, they win.
Absolutely, actually.
I'm picking the Falcons here, so the Titans are probably going to freaking win. I can't explain it.
Actually, yeah, that's another team I'm batting zeros with. But I will pick the Falcons at the very least because, home teams matter.
It's a home game, so yeah.
But did you see Matt Ryan in that performance against the Colts? He put up
29
stellar numbers, still lost. And it's I don't know how to I regularly describe it, but the Falcons are good. And the Titans are performing defensively. I think this is the game where we figure out which of these teams we need to make more seriously. And we made a video about both these teams being underrated at the start of the season. This is that bowl. We need to know which one of these two is the better of that we need to believe in because both have underperformed in, weirdly, the exact same way we gave them credit for. The Falcons' offense hasn't performed for 2 games, and the Titans' defense has not performed for 2 games. It's a weird situation. Both times, those teams should have done better, but they are giving up games.
This was hard for me to pick, man.
To which I'd say, yeah, I'm rolling with the Falcons.
They're the home team. I'm rolling with the Falcons also, but
how are you going to throw 29 for 34 and lose? That's not going to happen.
I don't know. I praised Matt Ryan in an earlier video about how well he did and how they're going to make the playoffs because of Matt Ryan. You still do. That's like having Patrick Mahomes and not making the playoffs, man.
It doesn't sound right.
How?
I gotta say, there's got to be something going on with both these teams. I'd like this to be the game that decides it. Falcons win, believe in them the rest of the year. Titans win, believe in them. But I'm rolling with the Falcons. Sounds like you are as well.
Same.
Cool.
Moving on. Patriots at Bills.
Ah, God. So, AFC East. So, 2 of my opponents are undefeated. That's cool. You know what's great about that? Pats are 3-0. Bills are 3-0. I don't buy it at all. The Pats are going to go in. The Pats are going to go into Buffalo and win. If I would be willing to use my survivor on it, I would. But it's more or less I just want to save it for the rest of the year. The Patriots always beat the Bills.
They always beat the Bills.
In the last 2 decades, the Patriots have lost the Bills 4 times. One of them was a Week 17 game, and another was when Tom Brady was suspended. It's a weird thing. Kind of like how I always say the Chiefs beat the Raiders. That's this.
Right.
Pats are going to go in and show that the Bills are the worst opponent.
This is going to be a low-scoring game, honestly, I feel like, man.
I don't even know about that.
2 good defenses. I think the Bills are making it closer than you think.
I
think the Patriots will win because they're a good team, but I also think the Bills, they might be for real.
I hate both these teams, but I'll give credit where it's due. I think the Patriots will walk in and curb stomp the Bills as they have done throughout history. It doesn't matter if it's in Buffalo or New England. You know how we always say home teams matter? Not this time. Not in this case.
Even with the Bills?
Pick the Patriots over the Bills. I mean, always do it and you'll never go wrong. It's actually...
I think the Pats will win, but I don't think it's as surefire as you make it out to be, man.
What's funny is I can't even use the argument that the Bills have beat easy teams as have the Pats because both have beat easy teams. But I'll still give the credit to the Pats. At least the Pats haven't survived their opponents, whereas the Bills have. The Bills have survived each of their opponents.
No, I agree. The Patriots will win, but I just think it might be a one-score game,
Maybe garbage time. That'll make it a one-score game. I could see it being like a 10-point game, late field goal. Then it's a one-score game. Something like that.
All right, sure. All right, moving on. Raiders at Colts.
Okay, yours. There's a lot of hard games this week.
There is a lot of hard. I actually skipped one. I skipped the Chiefs at the Lions, but screw it. We're just going to this one. Raiders at Colts. I'm going to pick the Colts. I'm using them as a survivor pick. They've looked fantastic with Jacoby Brissett. Surprisingly, I thought he'd do decent for a backup, but without Andrew Luck, I didn't think that he was quite as well. But they still got that good O-line. They still got a good defense. They're responding well. He had a really good game last week. As far as the Raiders go, it's the same thing, man. I still think they're still rebuilding. They're not going to be good until they're in Las Vegas and they get some more high draft picks. Maybe next year they'll be good. I'm rooting for the Raiders to be good next year, but I don't think they're good enough to walk into Indy and beat Indy.
And you say that about the Raiders every week.
I really feel like they're going to be good next year.
I will agree with you and say Colts. I also use them as my survivor, but I personally don't like the Colts. I never have, but I will say the Colts have impressed me with how they played in every single game. The Raiders dismantled the Broncos, but they got absolutely floored by the Chiefs and the Vikings.
The Broncos aren't even a good team at this point.
Precisely. Whereas the Colts were competitive all of their games. And that's why I'm rolling with the Colts.
They played good teams, too.
Mm-hmm. The Falcons. You can't say the Falcons are bad.
You can't say the Chargers are bad, man.
Exactly. Matt Ryan put up a great performance. Phillip Rivers as well. They lost in overtime. They've been in all those games, even if they squeak it. Whereas the Raiders, at the very least, their one win was at home, and they just got fleeced in their last two away games as losses. And I'd say the Colts would be a safe pick based on maybe just that.
Yeah.
Apparently, they're not as good on the road. It's a hard week to pick survivors.
You think the Raiders are free-falling right now? Is that what you're saying?
No, it's a hard week to pick survivors. Honestly, game winners in general. But I'd say this one should fit the mold that has been established thus far. The Colts should be a safe pick.
That's my survivor pick, by the way. I'm picking the Colts.
I mean,
all right, moving on. Chiefs at Lions. I don't think it's a...
So the Lions
it's
are
obvious. I don't think that matters. I think the Chiefs are just superior offensively, just so much superior. I don't think the Detroit can't stop them.
You're betting zeros with the Lions, just like the Titans, though.
Dude, the Chiefs aren't losing. I wouldn't doubt if they go like 15-1 or some crazy record and win the Super Bowl this year. I mean, dude, Patrick Mahomes is playing out of his mind. He's on the pace to throw like 6,000 yards.
He's already cracked 1,000 yards.
Jeez, man! Like how do you stop? He's doing that without Tyreek Hill.
Don't you kind of feel just like an asshole though? The Lions are doing what we said they couldn't. Yeah. They are undefeated. And last week, I specifically said, if I want to take the Lions seriously, this is a game they need to win against the Eagles, and they did. Right. And yet, guess what? I'm rolling with the Chiefs. I don't care.
The Chargers also left like 30 points on the field. They shot themselves in the foot like over and over and over and over.
My point is,
the Cards, they have that game beat, but their defense just let them come back in for some reason.
My point is, it's a Lions lament. They're undefeated. However, I'm not going to buy it. I said I'd take them seriously if they beat the Eagles. I will, but not against the Chiefs. The Chiefs are just, wow, okay?
How do you stop the Chiefs right now, man? How do you
stop play them in every quarter that isn't the second quarter, clearly.
It doesn't matter because
the stats are absurd in the second quarter.
The second quarter is the whole game, plus the rest of the game. He's unstoppable right now at this point. I don't know how to stop Patrick Mahomes.
You don't.
Even with a good defense.
You just let him go and see if you can match.
I think he's winning the Super Bowl this year. Straight up.
Yeah, Chiefs. Absolutely.
Skins at Giants.
Okay, so funny one for me because I love my upsets. On one note, I shouldn't have picked the Skins over the Bears. That could have been an amazing comeback. It looked like it could have happened.
No.
But it looked like until
their butts kicked.
You walked away, you didn't see. It was close, then it didn't. On the other hand, I absolutely picked the Giants as the upset, and that made me so happy.
Because Tampa Bay doesn't have a kicker.
I don't care. That's, you still lost points on
Is that 2 PATs and a missed field goal?
I go crazy with upsets is my problem. I
Win
need to
by
pick
one.
arguably. Oh yeah, you'll win by 1 or you win by 60. It matters the same in the win column. Fact of the matter is, the Giants beat the Bucks. I called it. Redskins lost. I called that. That's not smart.
You went off a kick.
Whatever.
Miracle.
I don't care. I picked the upsets. You need to pick more. But on that note, the Giants looked better than the Skins. I'll roll with the Giants. Maybe Daniel Jones is something interesting.
The Giants are responding well to Daniel Jones.
Even with Saquon Barkley out, that hurts fantasy-wise.
Do you wonder just because there was no tape on Daniel Jones and maybe it was just a surprise?
No.
Because I still don't buy the Giants.
They crawled back from a 28-10 deficit.
They're interesting, though, with Daniel Jones. Maybe because Daniel Jones is just young and not afraid and he wants to push the ball downfield and wants to win. And Eli's just like, yeah.
Did you see his performance, though, even as a quarterback?
I looked up, yes.
He ran for 2 touchdowns, threw for 2. I thought he performed admirably, even if it's against a bad team, arguably, against the Bucks.
The Skins, though, dude,
I shouldn't have picked him over the Bears. The Bears looked terrible on offense, but guess what? They didn't need their offense to beat the Skins, and that's where I messed up.
Dude, the Skins just look awful. At the game against the Bears, they look terrible.
I'll roll with the Giants, but based more or less on the fact that I think the Giants just are the better team.
Well, I am interested in seeing how Daniel Jones keeps going.
Absolutely.
I think your team's trash, but I'm rooting for you, man. Anyway, moving on. Browns at Ravens.
So, do you think there's the chance for the upset here?
Absolutely. Any given Sunday, the Browns still, even though the record isn't showing it right now, it's still early in the year, and they still have a lot of talent. It's early in the year. You never know. The Browns, they had a chance beating the Rams. The Rams are a very good team, I feel like. They just lost the Super Bowl.
Hang on. I'd like to toot my own horn. I said I'd love to see that Browns-Rams game be closer than everyone thought. And with like a 4th and goal stand, a 6-point, I said it'd be 30-24. It was 20-13. It was a 1st and goal situation, and the Rams made a stop. I just want to toot my own horn there. I did call.
Do you believe in Baker Mayfield, though?
I did last year.
He hasn't played that great this year so far.
I would.
It's still early.
I would believe in him if the Titans hadn't just lost their last 2 games. That's what really makes me question what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a game I'd love to pick, especially with division games being weird. But
I don't think
the Browns have looked. The Browns have been
though.
Competitive, but the one team they beat was the Jets, the worst team in the league. Yep. And I don't know if that'll be enough to beat the Ravens in Baltimore. Baltimore hung tight with the Chiefs.
They could have won that game.
I know.
I felt like it was.
We'll get to that. But I'd say they could have beat the Chiefs, and I have given all of the credit to the Chiefs.
Yeah.
The Browns have fought. They've came close, but it's that game against the Titans that makes me think that maybe they aren't what I thought they were.
The Titans flopped them, man.
And the Titans are a 1-win team now. It's weird.
That's weird, but the Ravens did hang in there.
I'll pick the Ravens.
I really thought they should have beat Kansas City with the refs kind of screwing them on a few. Dude, I should have that PI and that hold on Willie Snead.
Yeah, but
that was BS.
You also said it was a problem, they gave the ball back to him, and then Mahomes threw an 87-yard touchdown.
Shouldn't have had the possession there.
I'll throw an 87-yard touchdown.
You shouldn't have had the ball at all. But that's besides the fact. I think Lamar still needs to get in touch with his deep ball better. It wasn't very good.
Oh, God, his deep ball was pathetic.
His deep ball isn't very good. He's overthrowing guys left and right. And if he wants to be a contender, Super Bowl, got to fix the deep ball. That's basically it.
Picking the Ravens.
Picking the Ravens. Panthers.
Oh, God,
there's a fly around here. Sorry. Panthers at Texans.
Okay, so did you think, when you saw that the Panthers were beating the Cardinals, what was the most surprising thing for you there?
I didn't know Cam Newton was out.
So and there was a backup putting up that smack.
I was like, whoa! the Panthers are like kicking butt, and then I was like, oh, Cam Newton's
And it was
that
a
explains
backup.
it.
I saw a highlight saying, you know, this guy to this guy, and I'm like, oh, was this a trick? Was this a trick play? I looked it up. No, I checked out the stats. No, it's just him all game. Cam Newton's just out.
I don't even know his name. What's his name?
I want to say it's like Kyle Allen or something.
That sounds right. Kyler Allen or
who cares? But I'll just look it up while you talk about them.
Well, anyway, I did not expect that, but I don't know if it's a thing to where, what is it, like where you don't have a lot of tape on the guy and he just comes out and just plays unexpectedly?
K. Allen. That is something. Yeah, K. I won't look it up much further.
Whatever. I mean, against the Texans, I still would pick the Texans. I don't think the Panthers are a good team as of right now because of how they played, but maybe that was just Cam being Cam. He looked, dude, he was throwing like a girl, man.
Cam being, with the loss against Tampa. Yeah.
He was throwing scared when he wasn't even pressured. Maybe that loss is just all on him, and the Panthers still are a good team because they still have Christian McCaffrey. They still have Luke Kuechly. They have a good roster. I feel like
it's weird to say, but maybe taking out your starting quarterback is the best move there.
Maybe, but I still think the Texans they're decent.
They
might be the playoffs. They might win that division now.
I haven't given the Texans enough credit, and they now have beaten the Chargers. They hung tight with the Saints. They survived the Jags. And honestly, all three of those are impressive wins. Honestly, all those teams are either good and or feisty. And they fought.
The Texans are better than I thought.
I didn't think the Chargers would give up a 10-point lead to them. They did, and Texans won. And I will say, I don't like the Texans either, but they're surviving and they're playing well. They're surviving and thriving, and maybe they are better, to which I've given credit. So, to that, I don't believe in Deshaun Watson. I've made points of that, but I will say that should be enough to beat. I will say that should be enough to beat the backup of K. Allen in the Panthers. Panthers have been interesting. It'll be an interesting game. That's what I want to roll with.
I think Deshaun Watson's good, man. I don't really care what you think about him, man.
We'll see.
I think he's better than you think.
I don't know what I think. We'll see.
Anyway, moving on, we got the Bucks at the Rams, and I don't think there's any hope for the Bucks because the Rams are winning this game. They're going cross country. For some reason, the Bucks are always what I think they are. They'll come out and have a good offensive showing somewhat, put up a lot of yards, put up a lot of points, but always lose the game. I don't know how. They're the Browns of the NFC. I don't believe them in one bit.
On that note, though, does it not scare you at all that the Rams have clearly survived all three of their opponents?
No. I still think they're better top to
bottom.
Really? Yes. I think they're better at quarterback. I think they're better at running back.
In that Week 2 game, had the refs called that fumble return correctly, I think that's a completely different ball game. Maybe the Rams could have even lost. They've survived against the Panthers. They've survived against the Browns. And
okay, Week 1 cross country.
At the very least, we don't know what those teams are.
That's a very losable game, though, and they won.
I will say I'll roll with the Rams here, but I will say they've survived all their games. Whereas Tampa, although Tampa hasn't performed as much as anyone thought they would, they still have been dangerous, arguably. You know, like they beat the Panthers on the road. Granted, we can chalk it up to Cam Newton. They barely lost the Giants, but you know they still put themselves in positions to win. Had they not thrown 2 pick sixes, they could have beat the undefeated Niners. My thing is, the Bucks are not just a gimme game.
Had they not thrown 2 pick sixes,
they're not a gimme game. Had those been incompletions, would that game have came out the same?
Yeah, but you're saying they're not gimme games, but they still go 4
I'm just saying it's an interesting
every year, man.
It's an interesting matchup. The Bucks are playing against a team that's supposed to be a powerhouse that is surviving. I'll roll with the Rams here. I'm just saying...
Roll with the Rams.
Don't feel good about it, you know?
You really think the Rams aren't that good?
There's upset potential.
I think there may be a little Super Bowl hangover, not as powerful as they were last year. Like they might not be in the Super Bowl, but
it's a weird one to say. But it's a weird one to say. There is upset potential there. Maybe don't be too confident in it.
Well, all right. Moving on, we got the Hawks at the Cards.
Okay, so the Hawks. Fun fact: I expected them to floor the Saints, And then they didn't, and they got floored themselves. That was weird, especially with Drew Brees out. And I also expected the Cards to win last week. I thought Kyler Murray would perform. He did pretty well, but his team still completely fell flat. So on that note, who's better, the Hawks or the Cards? Give me the Hawks. The Hawks will be pissed off after that loss.
I feel like the Saints are kind of like the Colts, as in like their entire team was good. So when you have a backup quarterback you don't have tape on, your team is still good. Mm-hmm. And maybe the Seahawks slept on them a little bit because they're like,
I actually kind of chalk it up more to the weather early in the game. There was a lot of slipping on a wet field type.
Sure, but Teddy Bridgewater played just fine in that game. But that's besides the fact because
Alvin Kamara in that defense is. Even without Breeze, you need to give them the respect they deserve, and I think that's what happened with the Hawks. I'll still pick the Hawks over the Cards, though.
Same. I don't think the Cards are really. I thought they were better than I thought a week ago, but apparently I was wrong because they lost to the Panthers. I really thought they'd beat them.
They lost to a backup from.
Had it been Cam Newton, I'm pretty sure they would have won.
Interesting, but yeah, they lost to a backup on the road. That's the weird thing for me. I wanted to say they nudged their win there. They did not.
No.
But that's really all I have to say about them.
Do you think the Seahawks will make the playoffs this year?
Still do, yeah.
Yes.
But I'm still rolling with the Hawks, but I don't have much else to say about it.
Okay, in this rivalry, don't the Hawks normally win? They sweep the almost all the time.
No, actually, they normally swap who wins in the home game. The Cards have the best winning percentage against the Hawks in Seattle of any team. You know, one of those weird things.
But it's in Arizona.
So pick the Hawks. You know, roll with that.
Roll with the Hawks. All right, moving on. Vikings at the Bears.
Both teams are 2-1. Both teams have only lost the Packers. Vikings have looked more impressive to me, and thus I will choose them.
I got to agree with you because I think the Vikings, surprisingly on offense, have done better than I thought. Are they 3-0 now?
They are 2-1 with their one loss. The Bears. Did you not just hear the sentence I just said?
No, I didn't.
Both teams are 2-1. They've only both lost to the Packers. That's it.
Well, the Bears have been absolutely crap on offense despite last night, but that was against the Redskins.
They were arguably still crap. I mean, it was clearly their front seven that crushed Keenum all game, and then he still almost mounted a comeback.
Didn't they just... I swear there was like 5 picks in that game or something like
that.
No, there was a bunch of turnovers.
There was a lot of turnovers. And a pick six. But
I'm picking the upset. I think the Vikings beat the Bears just because...
Is it weird to say the Vikes are the upset?
Last year I wouldn't have picked Vikings to win, but this year I don't think the Bears... They might not even make the playoffs this year.
Their offense has been apathetic. I totally rolled with the Skins after that terrible performance they had against the Broncos. Honestly, I don't think their offense performed well against the Skins. I think I just gave the Skins too much credit.
And that was the Skins. A really bad defense.
But the Vikes have trounced 2 of their opponents. And you know what's funny? So the Bears took a 3-point lead against the Packers, lost 10-3. The Packers took a 21-point lead against the Vikings. The Vikings came back 21-16. The Bears game was a one-score game throughout, and the Bears still couldn't perform. The Vikings were arguably out of it, down by 3 scores. They still brought it back. They still came close. They failed, sure, but I'm more impressed by that than by staying at a 1-point deficit or a 1-score deficit all game. So I'll give the Vikings points there for being more combative, feisty.
Dude,
I think they got more going.
Bears. I'm not impressed with the Bears.
Have you seen Dalvin Cook's stats? He's been crushing it as their running back. The Vikings.
Well, I was talking about how the Bears, I'm not impressed at all, especially with that Week 1 Green Bay game. They just look like freaking soda that's been open for a week.
Flat?
Super flat, dude. But as far as the Vikings go, I think they... Let's see, man. I mean, their defense is all right. I think it travels. It could do well. Mm-hmm. I think they could win.
Okay.
For sure.
Jags, Broncos, who you got?
Jags at the Broncos. This one was a really, really tough one for me to pick because I'm a little torn because normally when a team's 0-3, you got to think how desperate is this team really to win? And I'm wondering if the Broncos are really, really desperate to win.
They were competitive against the Packers, a 3-0 team.
They were, and they tied it a few times, but then the Packers, they're the Packers. They pulled away 27-16, which is understandable because it was a away game. But then I look at the Jaguars, who are playing surprisingly different under Gardner Minshew.
Yeah.
Is that how you say his name?
Minshew.
Maybe it's just because they didn't have a lot of tape on him, or is he just actually good? Because I didn't expect this one bit from him.
Or
I completely expected Nick Foles to still be playing.
Maybe the Jags defense is still what it was.
The Jags defense is still good. I'm not discrediting that. I'm talking
Titans.
about their offense. But now, if he keeps playing this way, and Nick Foles comes back healthy in 6 or 7 weeks, play Nick Foles, or do you?
Of course. You have a contract with him. You owe him a lot of money. You have to play him. But what does that have to do with this game?
I'm picking the Broncos here only because it's at home and Mile High is a hard place to play.
You know what's funny? I looked at this one for a while. I'm actually going to pick the Jags, but I just love a good upset. My problem here is I pick one too many upsets. Maybe this is mine this week. Or maybe this is the one that makes me look like a genius. But the Broncos have been bad in all their games. And the one I think you can look at the best is the Bears game. They lost 16-14. The Bears have a similar defense to the Jags in generating pressure up front. And I think that is enough to stifle the Broncos. And I think, weirdly enough, even though the Jags aren't necessarily the better team, I think they could win based on that alone.
Okay. I wouldn't be surprised at all if the Jaguars win, actually.
Cool.
But I'm just rolling with the Broncos, home team. I think they get the first win.
Cool.
All right, Cowboys at Saints. This was another difficult one to choose just because I don't know if the Seahawks were sleeping on the Saints or what that was. The Cowboys are undefeated, playing pretty well, but they've also played
three opponents.
Garbage opponents. So I'm going with the Cowboys, but I don't feel good about it.
I understand.
Just because they are without Drew Brees, and I don't know if I don't know what I'm getting. I need to see Teddy Bridgewater one more week, maybe.
The Saints defense is good. Alvin Kamara is good, but
Alvin Kamara's
this is the one game the Saints owned everyone last year, whereas this and the Week 1 weird loss to Tampa, this was the only other one they lost outright, even with some weird reffing going on. But it was bad reffing both teams. They still lost the Cowboys. The Cowboys aren't a bad team. Yes, they beat 3 easy opponents, but it'd be weird to not roll with them at this point. The same reasons I picked the Seahawks last week, I felt it wasn't wrong to pick them. It's just that it didn't pay off.
Cowboys did beat the Saints last year.
Exactly. So, for the reasons I picked the Hawks last week, I'll pick the boys this week.
Okay.
It's the right choice. It just didn't pay off.
The Cowboys are a good team this year, it feels like. They got a good defense, and they're off. Dak Prescott's surprising me. He's actually been playing pretty darn good, dude.
Yeah. I mean, if the Saints win without Breeze, this is just,
That just goes to show how good their depth is, man. Could you imagine it with Breeze?
Right.
I mean, I could. I've seen it, but
if it was Dallas, I'd definitely pick. If it was in Dallas, I'd definitely pick Dallas. But I'm still picking Dallas, but tentatively.
If they had Breeze, I'd pick Breeze though.
That game last week was weird, and I gotta say, maybe it was just weird.
They didn't know what Teddy Bridgewater was gonna do.
It was Alvin Kamara in the defense.
Sure,
that's what it was. It wasn't Teddy.
Alvin Kamara is impossible to tackle.
Yeah.
You watch that guy run, he just bounces people off of him, man.
But I'll pick the Cowboys, not the Saints, but I don't feel great about it, so don't be confident.
Same, man. I mean, if Breeze was playing, I picked New Orleans, but I'm rolling with the boys on this one.
And what's the next one?
Probably the Garbage Bowl, and that's the Bengals at the Steelers.
By week 4? Garbage Bowl? Hey, props to the Steelers, eh? I told you Minka would get a interception. He also got a fumble. Guess what? They still lost. Isn't that kind of funny? The Niners did everything they could to give that game away, and yet you still couldn't take it. I'm not relishing in the fact that they suck right now, but I am relishing in the fact that I said they would suck. you lost your 2 best players. I'm not surprised, but a lot of fans are right now. So
a lot of it's hilarious. They're still making excuses too.
Oh, they lost to the good. Oh, they've only lost to good teams, have they? Not really.
I mean, the Pats are a good team, but
the Pats,
pathetic,
the Seahawks, and the Niners.
The Niners don't even have a quarterback. I feel like I still think Jimmy Garoppolo sucks, but
I will, relishing aside, I'm picking the Steelers, but I will say absolutely do not pick them as a survivor. The Bengals and the Steelers both were in similar situations last week, where both were the worst team. Both had the lead and both gave it up late because of their own mistakes. I will not confidently say the Steelers. I will not say the Bengals can't win, though.
Well, Steelers normally beat the Bengals, but that was when the Bengals were pretty garbage, and the
Steelers were established as being good.
But now it's like, I don't know which team is worse. I mean, I look at it, and the Bengals, I mean, they kept it close to the Seahawks week 1, and then they kind of let things get out of hand the last few weeks. Whereas the Steelers, they lose their 2 best players, and now their quarterback, and it's like...
They got floored by the Pats.
I don't know what to give them, man.
Lost. I mean, the Seahawks controlled the flow of that game top to bottom, but, you lost the Niners despite them giving up 5 turnovers. You scored 6 points off of turnovers. How?
I watched that.
That is insanity.
I watched the highlights. Like, you really got 6
That is some black
points.
magic voodoo shit.
You got 5 turnovers and you lost.
Badly. Well, arguably badly. I'd say
24-20 though. Or
yeah, but with 5 turnovers, doesn't that put in the realm of
should have been like 38-12.
3 of those turnovers were in the Niners' red zone.
Okay,
but the Niners could have arguably won by.
The Steelers got a fumble,
10,
and then
14.
I think the Niners fumbled. Or was it backwards? There was like 2 fumbles within like a minute of each other.
Don't get me wrong, Jimmy Garoppolo did everything in his power to give that game away.
Oh,
he had
absolutely.
one INT. I won't blame on him. The rest of the turnovers, I'll blame on him.
I'm curious.
I might be.
I'm rolling with the Steelers just because it's at home, and the Steelers normally beat the Bengals, but I'm torn between it because I think either team could win because they're both so bad.
And isn't that sad?
And hold on real quick. I want to look at Jimmy Garoppolo's stats real fast.
Okay.
See how he's doing. So far this year, he has 739 yards. 5 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, a 96 QBR. QBR is not...
That's a high 200 per average game and almost a 1-to-1 ratio.
Didn't he play the Bengals week 2?
He did.
Worst
in a trounce.
That was his only good game. The last 2 games have been pretty bad. Yeah.
Actually, that is 3 teams who I have accredited with, shooting themselves in the foot. The Bucks, the Bengals, and the Steelers.
Ooh.
Whatever.
I think they're going to fall apart.
Whatever.
Maybe not fall apart entirely, but...
Well, thank God they got their bye week so they can be undefeated a little bit longer.
Just wait till they play the Rams and the Seahawks. I think that's 4 losses right there.
Ouch, that's rude. But I'll pick the Steelers in this one. I will say... We've done pretty well, so we've been 10-6. It's rough to pick survivors for this week, so I'll say Colts over Raiders. If you absolutely gotta, Chargers over Dolphins and Packers over Eagles. Colts Raiders, I'd say, is the best choice.
You're really confident in the Packers winning? You put a survivor on that?
Eagles have been competitive, but my buddy Eagle fan made me promise, so
Anyway,
I'd say those are smart survivor picks.
Well, we're gonna get out of here, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah,
Our
and
predictions.
we'll see how we do.
Night.